Your symbols of gratitude are little works of art.
I've had as much or more comments about the energy at this year's Advanced, and I'm not sure it was just that there were 200 people in the room instead of 97. I don't think it was just the size.
It's like, what a community you guys have built. And if there is any compliment that I cherish receiving, it is the community in which we've built.
But the fact of the matter is the only way you get to keep anything is to give it away.
And then we turn the precision cares on, and all of a sudden it's, I can do this. I'm like, yeah. My dad said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And man, was I ever in the right room.
Thank you for subscribing to the Frequency Specific Microcurrent podcast. FSM is a breakthrough tool for medical practitioners who feel stuck with limited treatment options, especially for complex issues unresponsive to conventional care. FSM training is the best continuing education course for medical practitioners. Get our free introductory webinar at frequencyspecific.com/about or find FSM trained practitioners at frequencyspecific.com/find. Here's Dr. Carolyn Kim Pittis.
We got the silver memo.
I was just going to say that. Oh, geez.
What is up with that?
We've never done silver before or gray, so we've done black and white, but
silver at the same time? What was it? Somebody had a word for it. It was like in the collective unconscious or universal consciousness, or somebody had a word for it. Okay, the bear's there in the shots. We have to move the bear over. We can get my book out of the way.
I might need to bring my little word closer first so people can see it. Because David Musnick and I were... One second.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if people can really see the...
attention to detail?
Yes. This was very much appreciated, but your symbols of gratitude are little works of art. And Dr. Musnick and I were comparing ours, and they're similar, but very different and very unique. And everybody can see all the bubbles in here. It's like a wave.
Cool? It's a wave. Because look at what you start when you start teaching.
Yes.
You make waves like pebbles in a pond.
And we have, speaking of waves, we have a lot to dive, like how that segue was.
I think your favorite word is unpack.
It is unpack. And I don't know if somebody can think of a better word, I will gladly use it. But I feel like you package up these stories and these pearls of wisdom that my job is to take pieces and nuggets out of it so that we can digest it. Because I don't know if you realize how when you're in the moment and you're telling us the pathway of greatness, you get to point A and B and C, and I'm like, well, wait, let's talk about A and B for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, that leap there.
That seemed like such a natural jump for you, and that's the beautiful part of FSM is that there's different pathways. And the more I teach, the more I realize people connect the dots in different ways based on their education and their mileage and their comfort level. And we can all get to results in different ways. Sometimes we take the scenic route, and sometimes we take the expressway, and
sometimes you hit a roadblock and you have to go back.
Oh, the roadblocks, those are real, and we all get them.
And what's interesting and possibly tragic, depending on how you think about it, is the fact that we made the Advanced 4 days, and I got through, instead of getting through everything, I doubled the amount of stuff at the beginning. I didn't even get to the miasms, much less prostate radiology, radiation damage, and all the stuff that's at the end. I didn't get to the miasms. I'm not entirely sure I got to heavy metals. But the case report that I did about what what we ran into in the core just 3 days before, 4 days before
Right.
was worth the 15 slides that it took to do it.
I think the stories that you tell are definitely worth the price of admission because people have the slides and they can read some of that information. But what really was reaffirmed to me at this year's advance, maybe because of the size and how many people and the energy, right?
Two, I've had much or more comments about the energy at this year's advanced, and I'm not sure it was just that there were 200 people in the room
Right.
instead of 97. I don't think it was just the size.
I would agree with you. The energy that those 200 attendees brought with them were that to me was the palpable movement of the advanced. It hit you as soon as you walked into the ballroom in a good way, because sometimes we go to conferences and there's a lot of energy and it's a bad, you want to leave, you want to get out, you want
It's
to,
just chaotic. This was, I, I have no words. It
yeah.
was like a big family reunion where your drunk Uncle Ralph just isn't there. It's all the guys you
I was just gonna say we use a family reunion, but the family members that you pick that you enjoy being with. And to me, it almost at the end of everything, leaving and rushing and getting to the airport because we were worried about TSA and spring break and just needed to get on airplanes to get home. Once I got through security, I was sitting there and I had this wave of sadness because it was over. It almost felt like the post-wedding blues that you get, and you think, oh, okay, it's over. And I didn't even get to talk to that person as much as I wanted to. And I didn't treat the person that I said I was going to treat, and I didn't tape. There was just a lot of, I was like, oh, it's over.
yeah. And
Yeah, it was
the slides that the cases that everybody presented, you have the text, but you don't have the story.
right.
So Patrick Wood was the example of that. Patrick's slides are very,
Content rich.
that's a good word, technical, neuro geek,
Yeah,
and like I understood the words individually, but hang them together and what?
right.
But then he reminded us that he's an English major
Mhm.
first, and
Right,
then he did pre-med, and then he did med school. So
right,
he took those slides and he turned them into a story.
right.
So those of you that got it on video, listen to the audio and don't just read the slides.
Right.
Especially everybody. Dr. Reynolds was the same way. You read his slides and it's blah, 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 blah,
Right.
right? Blah, blah, blah. But when he talked, and then when you filled in the blanks before, during, and after, it was like, oh, this is magic.
I've really enjoyed presenting with him for a few different levels to bring a quote unquote outsider into our family who has seen the effects of FSM, but maybe doesn't know the steps or wasn't able to come into the world. He respected me for what I did and the results that we get. But it was just really wonderful to bring him again, like bringing somebody home to meet the family.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And go
Yeah,
ahead.
and just so he could see the amazing community and that was what he said. He's like, "What a community you guys have built." And if there is any compliment that I cherish receiving, it is the community in which we've built. And
Yeah. The other thing that is very special about him, and it was a private moment, but it was so I cut my lecture short at 12:15 so I could show the slide presentation that always has half the audience in tears,
yes,
what I can't teach you.
yeah,
And apparently he was in the room for that.
yes, yeah, we were sitting in the back. Yeah,
Yeah. And then we went to lunch,
yeah,
and then he comes up to do your presentation. And before he gets on stage, he just stands next to me and says, "So you're a philosopher and metaphysician as well?" And I went, "It takes one to know one."
Yeah, and what
He got that part, which says something about him and the way that he thinks about what he sees on the table in front of him, that he understands it's not just tissue, it's a person.
right,
And I'd say that's the heart of our community.
agreed.
Yeah.
I think we've done such a great job of, I think when we talk about protocols and frequencies and how we think about treatment, the nucleus of it all is we treat the person, not the condition. And yes, we have to think of a B channel and an A channel. But when we go back to this meniscus is attached to a human that needs their meniscus to be healed yesterday in order to get a scholarship, go back to work. I think because we see frequencies as not just a template in which to press a button and leave the room. And to your point, your talk that you gave at the end of Sunday really encompasses that journey that you go on with the patient. And you can't go on the journey with the patient if you just see a meniscus or you just see a labrum. I'm sorry, I don't think you can.
And yeah, exactly. And that's part of why the advanced is so different. So, in general, I've added so much to the core that a lot of the slides that I took out of the advanced were, okay, we do that in the core. Oh, we do that in the core. So the core is 5 action-packed, fun-filled days. And we had a discussion in the office today about the advanced, the core needs to be 6 days. It just does. And then the staff, I would say freaked out, except it takes a lot at this point to freak them out. It, they said people can't be gone that long. It's like they lose the whole week anyway. So it's still 5 days. I'm going to keep pushing for it to be 6 days because they pay for it. And it is overwhelming. But one of the things we do now, what I wanted to do was 3 days, a day off, and another 3 days. At the end of 3 days, they're brain dead. Their brain's just full. They need time to process, integrate, do
Mhm.
whatever, study, whatever they're inclined to do. And then they really need another 3 days. And that's just physical medicine. The I'd love to have that last day be a comprehensive, visceral integration of what we can teach, what we can treat in the visceral core. And we'll see if that ever happens. But if the people listening to this either live or on YouTube would send in emails saying, "Oh God, please, not 6 days," or "Duh, of course, 6 days." Give me some help here because we have this. Yeah, the staff is concerned about people not wanting to take 6 days.
Right.
And I have this concern about not taking 6 days because the core is so deep now. I start them off easy for the first 2 days and then it's game over.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm happy either way, but it'd be nice to have you guys vote. Let me know. Am I right?
Ooh,
Are
I
those,
love putting together surveys, voting things.
you
So
know
I
what?
do that for you.
Kevin could send out a jot form. Kevin's already over there nodding and probably
Probably
creating the
making
jot
one
form.
as we speak. Yes.
Yeah, would you take a 6 day core if there's a break in the middle?
Right.
And the 5 day core is still going to have a break in the middle. So you're going to be there 6 days instead of 7.
Right.
So Sunday, through Saturday, fly home Sunday. So fly Saturday, fly Sunday. That makes sense to me.
The thing is, too, you love teaching, and that comes across every time I see you teach live. So it's a no-brainer for you because you would teach every day, I think, if you could.
And what I enjoy is they love learning. By
Mm.
day 5, literally, we have to pitch them out of the room at 7:45. And the seminar ended at 6. Some people had to take flights at 4 or 5, so they left early.
Yeah,
But the rest of the class, they're still there
right.
talking, treating. We're
Mhm.
taking the room down around them, and they're
Mhm.
still treating at 7:45.
Yeah,
Seriously? Oh, by the way, next year it is going to be a 4-day advanced again, but I promised that we would somehow end it at 3 o'clock on Sunday so people can get flights home that day and we don't lose half
right.
the audience. Yeah, it's just not fair. It'll be fun.
We just have
Oh,
to talk fast.
oh, and next year, my 80th birthday is this September. Virgos of the world unite. And so next year, I'll be 80 at the advanced, and usually we do a little banquet upstairs. Somehow we'll figure out a way to afford it. You might have to increase the price just a little bit to pay for the dinner, but I want to do a birthday party. I want to have a banquet and ask the bakery for a gluten-free birthday cake for 300, 200 people. Sure,
Easy.
it's whatever. Yeah, with strawberry filling.
If that doesn't make the trip worthwhile, I'm not sure what else. Speakers, schmeakers, we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a fantastic advanced it was. And I'm sure next year will be even bigger, especially if we get to celebrate your 80th birthday.
And there's banquet, because
Uh,
usually it's just the instructors and the faculty and the published papers and the certified people.
Right.
And this year, people have their gold I'm certified pins, and
Yeah.
everybody that went to the advance, I was really excited. Kevin got silver advance pins. I saw so many people wearing them because
Yeah.
it takes a lot for people to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And airplane tickets are going to go up next year.
Yeah.
And
So just,
so
you know you're going. You might as well just book it now.
and we know the dates.
We know the dates. So
It's on the website already. No,
Not
not
yet.
yet. Kevin just got pale and
We don't have confirmed dates yet.
yes, we do. I have a contract.
I need to see the contract signed, and then I'll put on.
Okay, before he'll put it on the website, I need to get to the contract and sign it. So that's also on my list.
yes, and it was very warm this year, like hot,
Yes.
which is not normal for that time of year.
No.
So hopefully we get a little bit cooler. But yeah, all in all, I'm still thinking of conversations and treating people and going through treatments and talking to them about in real time the story that they gave me an hour ago. And then after an hour and a half, completely shifting my approach because they started remembering or feeling comfortable telling about the story. And they're like, I can't believe I didn't tell you that initially. I can't believe I didn't think about this. And I said, this is great. This is where the learning really happens because now that person who was a very linear thinker is on the table and telling me about injuries that he totally forgot about or didn't think were relevant all these years later. And it was that story that helped unravel, unlayer the onion, if you will. So those were my happy moments was when you have somebody who feels smush for the first time or experiences that floaty feeling for the first time.
That happened this time at the chorus
Yes.
or the someplace. There was somebody that's, oh, that's what they mean by dwarfed.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. It's amazing to watch that.
in the core. There was a man who attended and asked if we could treat his wife because she had just a really traumatic incident when she was like 5 months. really small, maybe, no, sorry, 5 years.
Mhm.
And she ended up with a lot of internal injuries and scar tissue and abdominal adhesions. So we treated the adhesions the first day, scarring in the vagus as a beginning for working on abdominal adhesions, because just the slightest pressure and you could feel the muscles bounce back. Vagus is a pain nerve, and it's all the way through a spider web, and
Right.
it's pain nerve. So when it's scarred, so we did that, and then the regular abdominal adhesion protocol, she stood up and she said, "Oh, I can stand up differently. I'm not even sure who I am."
Right.
So that was one day, and I said to him after the, I guess the next morning, I said, "You have to have her come back tomorrow night," because I didn't treat her psoas and I
Mhm.
also didn't treat her brain. So she's got 24 hours to figure it out on her own. But the fact of the matter is, we can help with I don't know who I am by running increased secretions in the sensory motor cortex, because her
Mhm.
sensory motor cortex has never experienced her trunk in that posture and
Mm.
without that pain and the memory of it. So while I was treating the psoas, couldn't get at it from the front because the abdominal adhesions that I can't get to in 2 days, did the psoas from the back for the first time ever, then the bladder, then the kidney and the kidney fat pad. And we had one machine running on increasing secretions in the sensory motor cortex. And then we had another machine that we added for increasing secretions in the cerebellum. And were you even, no, you weren't there yet. We had to teach her to breathe with her ribs
Mm.
instead of her belly because she couldn't move her ribs. And then sat her up and had her use her ribs, not her scalenes, and then teach her to balance and
Yeah.
use her trunk, and then 6.8 and 38 and concussion in Vegas. All she had four machines on her at once. And at the end of it, what I had, the only thing I have is the picture we took at the end of the second night. And the look on her, she was a whole different person. And that's what makes the study and the depth and the way of thinking
Yeah.
all.
And maybe that's why I love doing the sports because we get to spend a whole half day doing that. And the sports advanced is like 80% of the movement and the connection and run this and move with it and stand eyes open, eyes closed on one foot. And to see the expression on their face of the something is very hard. And then we turn the precision cares on, and all of a sudden it's, I can do this. I'm like, yeah. So it's almost like the opposite of feeling smush because they're feeling that connection, the strength, the recruitment, the safety. And for me, my goal is to have all of my patients and clients that I work with move confidently and safely. And that is also my goal, how I want to instruct people moving forward with FSM using safety and efficacy in their treatments, but imparting that safety and confidence with movement to the people that they work with. Because to me, that is the epitome of a holistic approach. And
And we, in the core, without any notice whatsoever, I took the whole central nervous system and moved it right behind the physical medicine section, because we have the ability to reconnect this. Who am I if I feel like this? Who
right,
am I if my shoulder moves like this?
right.
It's 81 and 92.
Yeah.
How do I move my shoulder like this?
Yeah.
81 and 84. But I can't move my shoulder like this because it's going to hurt. So
Right.
you do 40 and 89 first. Quiet
Right.
the being afraid to move it.
Yeah.
then coordinate the movement, and then the sensory motor cortex. I mean, if you, what's the word when you turned it into people? The sensory motor cortex says, what? Who? Wait, what shoulder? I haven't, those muscles haven't, they're there now? Oh, wait. So you introduce the sensory motor cortex and then you send it back through the cerebellum to coordinate the muscles that the sensory motor cortex now know are there.
Right.
Yeah. And then
Right.
Dr. Wood is the dopamine moves here and it goes there, and we have no, this one talks to that one, and that one goes to that one, and sure. Okay.
But and again, like that's the beauty of going to the advanced and having a hypothesis explained to you in scientific terms. You're like, oh, I knew this worked, and now I know why, and I can
Mhm.
see that connection. So that's why it talks like Dr. Wood and Dr. Reynolds with his orthobiologics. And I know he spoke fast, and people can slow him down when they watch it back. But I think we are living in a world of injections and procedures, and we say it all the time, FSM is the best adjunct. So I loved when he said it's time to rattle the cage. And I was just like, yeah, I feel like I've been rattling the cage with these orthopedic surgeons for so long. So,
And what was exciting was after he stayed, he was I guess he got there the day before, so heard some of the case reports and some of the other lectures. And when he saw the group, he said, I'm gonna make a video for you to use. Just hand this video to your favorite orthopedic surgeon and tell him to watch it.
yeah,
It'll be short and they can listen maybe as fast as he can talk.
right.
But when you think of the case reports and the practitioner from France
Mhm.
who had a patient who had never had a menstrual cycle ever,
Right, right.
16 years, right?
Mm.
Late 20s, early 30s. And he treated the emotional component, he treated concussion in Vegas, he treated the pituitary, he treated whatever. And it's just excessive stress. And he understood it because he's taken the court God knows how many times. He understood it. And so she had a menstrual cycle for the first time in her life. And then 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks later, when she should have had another menstrual cycle, she didn't have a period and everybody was sad. Then 2 weeks later, she showed up, and his last slide was this little fetus. She was pregnant after her first menstrual. What? Who? How? Okay.
And
What do you
like
say to that?
no, exactly. And where else are you going to go to hear stories like that and everything in between? I've said this before. My dad said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And man, was I ever in the right room.
Yeah.
Because,
You did what?
yeah,
Eduardo with the Dura and Kasha with
yeah,
the surgery didn't happen because
right.
it was just an ovarian cyst. It wasn't that hard. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember what I said when I was presenting, but I felt very much like you and thinking, how did I just say that it wasn't that hard? Oh, I think it was actually with Dr. Reynolds, the very first patient that we had worked when he was explaining the fasciotomy that he did laparoscopically. And I know we all make those faces because typically they do fillet the calf and he released it. That being said, it was still a procedure. And
Oh, the part you loved was that he matched up the
the tattoo.
tattoo. Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't just about the tattoo. It was to me what that symbolized. If he cared that much on the outside, I know that his attention to detail was on the inside where it mattered. And
Right.
so for me, I was like, wow, who is this guy? And then when he's, I have to interject, I was like, Oh no, you are not interjecting. I let you talk for 40 minutes just now. It's my turn.
Did you
Um,
really?
I want in my inside voice. I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
okay, but he had to interject by saying he had never seen somebody recover at that speed. So he was like, "Who are you?" So both of us were, "Who are you?" You're like the unicorn. But that is how I believe the universe works, is like the synchronicities, the patients that come into your door find you for a reason. And that patient who was extremely challenging because of he wouldn't stop and was always seeking the best, introduced me to one of the best. And he was very gracious by saying, you were never bugging me. And I had to put that ladybug up there on my one slide.
Ah,
But you advocate for yourself and for your patients. And I think FSM practitioners do that because we have this tool that I think most of us are extremely passionate about. And when you are passionate about what you do, it's really hard to turn the volume down on us. So maybe that's part of the energy that this year's advance that I noticed was it's our time to talk about things.
and there's also a certain, it sounds contradictory, but there's also a certain humility that's involved
Mm.
when you're dealing with people like Eduardo, who is such a specialist
Yeah,
in his area, and Gail, and, and you, and all of the practitioners that did case reports, published papers. It was really fun to give Candace Elliott that award for her part. We had 4 published papers last year.
right.
And from what I can tell, we'll have another 5 or 6, 4 or 5 anyway,
Right.
this coming year. Because when you force somebody, and I do, to write up a case report to either present or to become certified, then it's just take one more step. And writing it up for publication, you've got Candace's step by step. You
Yeah.
have my more intuitive write a high school essay term paper approach, and then submit it. And they'll say no. And
Yeah.
then you submit it, you fix it, you submit it again.
Yeah.
They say no.
Yeah.
You submit it again. And this time he says, okay, just change this one part and we'll take it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Do
It,
you have that Candace's template? Is that on the resources on the webpage? Because I feel
yeah, it
like,
is. Yeah.
yeah, it is a very helpful template to go through. And you had a template because I remember doing my case studies and I using your template. Some of us do need a bit of a plug and play, but if you do have decent chart notes, it's not hard to fill in the steps and the blanks. So,
And Thad's illustrations about collecting data. It's if you have 2 points, the line looks like this.
all right.
If you have 6 points, the line looks like this, and the statistics are easy on
Yeah.
an N of 1 case because
Right.
everybody's intimidated about, oh, I
Yeah.
only had this one patient. Excuse me, that one patient was impossible.
Right.
Cannot be done.
Right.
Has to be published.
Yeah.
So somebody has to know it's possible.
Right.
And that means you saw them 6 times and you have 6 data points and it looks like this.
Right.
Then the statistics are easy. And then we have Thad Mooney, Dr. Mooney, however you pronounce his last name, who said, yeah, I'll do statistics and I'll help you write the paper. Excuse me?
Right. Right.
Oh, okay. I, we just have wonderful resources and
Yes.
very talented people.
Yes. Willing and wanting to, like I said, help and talk and share. And again, the sharing, the quote that I closed my talk with, if you want to be an instrument of change, you have to gather people. I think I think that really embodied, what we do. We gather people, and it's not a bunch of people talking about their proprietary way of doing something. It's coming from a place of genuine generosity and wanting to make people better. I think of Dr. Musnick's talk. Again, he speaks a mile a minute, and you better, good thing he doesn't talk before 8 p.m., like he says, because he talks about some terrifying statistics and things that are happening. But it's coming from a place of just, again, that genuine generosity of this is what I do, and this is a supplement I like, and this is a testing I like. And there's no royalties, there's no sliminess about what any of us are promoting. It's just what we've learned and along the way. And again, I'm very grateful to Rock Tape. I've been using Rock Tape for the past 10 years. I took taping 20 years ago. He was so generous to give all of our practitioners a code to get a discount on taping and taping courses. Again, it comes from,
Classes. I have
yeah.
no idea what you do with that stretchy tape.
And he does such a great job of teaching it. So again, we are all just in the arena of trying to get our patients and clients better, but to make each other better as practitioners. And that is a family I like to be a part of.
Yep. And for me, it's part, I don't know, I took judo when I was 12 for maybe 13 for 2 years. And that got me into Oriental or Asian philosophy. But there's this quote, and I can't remember if I heard it then or much later, someplace. But the fact of the matter is, the only way you get to keep anything is to give it away.
Yeah.
It's a big secret. It's you have to buy the gadget, but I won't tell you what's on it. No, that's just not how karma works. The only way you get to keep it is to give it away. So we
Right.
have to charge for the courses because we have to pay all this stuff.
Sure.
But it's you certainly get what you pay for.
Agreed. At a fundamental level, I question the pre-programmed anythings out there because we are not the same energetic and cellular makeup today that I'm going to be on Friday. So part of the beauty of FSM, it's challenging, is changing frequencies, is changing programs, is troubleshooting, reaching, creating the journey that you go on with that patient together to make a program that is uniquely theirs is my favorite part of the day.
Yep. And I have Ehlers-Danlos patient this week, and she's 18, I think. And she came in, and her dad is a surgeon, so he's medically trained, retired. And she comes in with this whole host of diagnoses. First one of which they were concerned about was supraventricular tachycardia. And it's no, she has Ehlers-Danlos, so her vagus doesn't work. So it can't lower her heart rate. So she doesn't actually has SVT. And he looked at me like I was from Mars.
Right.
And so I always take the pulse at the beginning of the visit while she's sitting down, resting. It was 83. And then when she walked out, he was in the waiting room. And I said, by the way, her pulse is 67. And he looked like, whoa. And then the next day, her pulse was 73 when she came in and was 57 when she left.
Mm.
And he looked at, if you remember the Vegas case report slides from the Feinstein Institute, one of the measures of vagal function is pupillary constriction. She had been told that she was on the spectrum because she was sensory sensitive. No, you're not. Excuse me? Your pupils don't constrict because your vagus doesn't work, and your vagus doesn't work because you have Ehlers-Danlos, and this is why. And after that first visit, she came in the second day and said, my dad looked at me that night and said, your pupils are constricted. Yeah, it's what we do. It's not that hard. I just, don't you feel weird saying that sometimes?
I said it for the first time on stage in front of 200 people, a little bit,
It's,
but that part, like what we do in our little arenas, our little areas, Yeah, it's funny. I think of the roller coaster diagram that I have in a lot of the like the FSM learning curve, right?
Yeah.
Because when you first start taking it, you do start creating these mini miracles and you're just like on top of the world. You're on that part of the learning curve. And then something literally and figuratively throws you for that loop and you're just like, I can't do anything. This is so difficult. And then you're like, okay, what am I learning here? And you start reconnecting the dots and thinking out here. And having the family that you can text and email and say, I have this patient and I'm stuck. What's another way I could look at this? And
Yeah.
being grateful for the connections. And that is my favorite part of being at the advanced is the people that come up to you and you can go up to without shame and just say, this isn't my arena. And how could I think about this differently? Or what would you do in this case? And just the conversations at lunchtime when you're going in between the tables and in line at the amazing buffet, piling my plate full of short ribs,
And
trying to
salad
navigate.
and veggies, and
Yeah,
the compliments about the food are just unending.
right.
But that's the other thing that's so amazing about the FSM family is the hive mind that
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah,
And I can't think of any other meeting that you go to where there is literally every profession that
right.
has a license to
Yeah,
touch people, and a few.
that don't.
We have psychologists,
Yeah,
and that they don't touch anybody.
right,
You just get a magnetic converter and you put the pucks in their pocket and you run concussion in Vegas while they're talking.
right.
Oh, I had a story. Yesterday, we had a husband and wife bring in their severely autistic 4-year-old last year sometime. He stayed the week. They bought a custom care and a converter for him. But at the end of the first day, and this is the first time I've heard this story, was yesterday at the end of the day. They went home at the end of the first treatment, and this child has been nonverbal, has not said a word at age 4. No words at all, ever. No eye contact, ever. So at the end of the first day, first treatment, he looks, he sits at the kitchen table and looks his dad in the eyes and says, "Where's my green truck?" And the parents both went, "Excuse me? Where's my green truck?"
Wow.
I, and you don't want it's like you have these blocks and you don't want to move. And they go, "It's over there." "Oh, there's my green truck." Spoke in complete sentences, started making eye contact the first day after
Wow.
the first treatment.
Wow.
And that's a good face. That's what I did. And then the only reason we got this story was the dad came in to be a patient in Sandra's practice yesterday, and he told her the story. Can you imagine the stories we don't hear where people think we don't need to know?
That would be a big piece I would like to know.
There's my green
Mhm.
truck. Okay.
Well, and
This
there's
is,
that. So
yeah,
I don't know if we have any questions. So there's a couple here.
no,
Um,
there are. I got chat.
Q&A. So hi Linda asks, would you consider doing a special Zoom meeting or a video to cover the remaining slides and stories for those of who just attended the advanced?
Oh, I'm pretty sure where I finished.
Maybe we
And
could do it in lieu of a podcast or do it on a separate
oh,
day.
it's going to have to be separate.
Separate.
I'll just
Yeah.
do a Zoom and Kevin will record it, put it under
Yeah.
practitioner resources, or maybe whatever he wants to do with it. I have learned that life is much simpler if I don't tell Kevin what to do. He
Yeah.
just does it, whatever he picks is always better.
But that's a great
So
idea to maybe just,
are you guys really ready for me to talk another 4 hours?
I really don't think that's a question. Of course they
No.
are.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I think maybe, I don't think it's 4 hours that you're still needing to get through, is it?
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
sorry, but that's,
Yeah, what slide number did you get to out of 500?
I don't even remember.
Oh, okay.
It was before miasms, and I am afraid it was even before heavy metals. And we can't put heavy metals or miasms in the core, and that's the only reason they're not there.
Right.
And then I ended up getting to take out a number of slides that are now in the core
Right.
that didn't used to be. So
Right.
it's so the whole, I had the dopamine section in the wrong place, and it needs to move down into the central nervous system section. So how to treat Parkinson's makes sense. And so I know I think we got to the nervous system. Pretty sure we did.
Okay.
Got to that. Yeah.
People are on the chat saying, yes, 4 hours. Yes, please.
Okay. I
And,
can't find the Q&A. Kevin, where'd it go?
it did change a little bit. It must have updated because things look different when I logged on today too.
So it's not just, I got chat
No,
It's on the Q&A.
three dots.
under the three dots.
Yep. And then Q&A.
Oh, there they are. Hi, guys. Catherine,
Got turned that on today.
special Zoom. Yeah, thank you, Linda. I was thinking of mixing a live and streaming to cover it all. And yeah, no, we'll just videotape it. I can't even tell you every time I talk about adding anything, Joseph, who's the receptionist at the clinic, gets really pale. I'm gone so much this year. We just added, so we're going to Poland at the end of August, beginning of September. One of our practitioners just added a conference in Zurich with dentists and Mary Ellen Chalmers and me and her at this conference for dentists. And so that's another week. Joseph, I need to be out of the clinic a week earlier anyway. Okay.
It will all work. You're
It
like,
always does.
yes.
Oh,
But yeah, that would be great to have
that'd be
a
fun.
Zoom to our webinar, however you want to structure it, to those of us who want to hear the end of the story. There's always,
So we're all here on Wednesdays. So
Mhm.
some Wednesday when I'm not book solid in the morning, we'll just take the morning and start at 10 after I wake up, get breakfast, coffee, and then we'll
Right.
just talk for 4 hours.
Do an hour after the podcast.
Yeah.
So we got it done.
Right, because you're already sitting here.
Wait, an hour after the
Instead
podcast?
of doing it all at once, I'm saying break it up into hour.
Once I get on a roll, you go ahead and try and stop me. That's going to be fun. Anyway, we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. But thank you for asking. It's fun because the stories are part of how you figure. And then what I added on the energy centers and the acupuncture meridians, when you add that piece of it to put the frosting on the cake,
Totally. Yeah.
I that
Isn't that funny? I had that experience with a case that I used for ACL reconstruction, and I'd used the same video in so many different ways to highlight different frequencies depending on what I wanted to emphasize. And I found myself adding it with my talk with Dr. Reynolds. You saw the video of the girl with the fully ruptured ACL doing deadlifts. And some people are just like, no, that's stupid. And Dr. Reynolds was like, no, that's great. I love that. You don't need an ACL to survive. And in that case, the knee was totally safe. And we're using FSM and exercise to mechanically hypertrophy a hamstring that was going to be used in the graft. And that was my idea with it. But what was the most important part was the piece that she got to keep moving while waiting for surgery. And she got to do something productive. And yes, it was healthy to the tissue, but it was healthy to her mindset and her heart and her soul.
Yeah.
And the people in my sports course they already knew the answer but I had horrified them days prior to that. They're like, what? And it's just so you know, like you have so much that you get to do with somebody as they're waiting for a procedure, whatever that procedure is. And at the very minimum, if you can help their vagus and help them sleep at night, you're doing more than most people out there.
Yeah.
And so I guess the emphasis on things begins to shift a little bit. And to your point with the acupuncture meridians, a lot of us know about meridians. A lot of us understand it, or at least accept the fact that they are there, but to now use them in a bit of a different way. And I tried it for the first time last week, and it was very interesting because I'm studying a lot about fascial lines, right? And it's not just the fascial lines from anatomy trains, but there's a lot of fascial lines. Fascial lines are very similar to meridians. I hate to break it to the fascial line people. You didn't reinvent the wheel here. These lines were in place hundreds of years ago,
Thousands.
thousands of years ago. So to explore a little bit and try to think, this looks almost like a fascia line. I wonder, could this also be a meridian? And if it's a meridian, can we change the frequency to respect that? Or so again, it's following the thought experiment. And
Well, and this whole thing started with Harry Van Gelder, Leaf, and Harry George told a story about this woman at camp that badly sprained her ankle. And he did his thing and got the ankle stable. And George said that Harry said, "Oh, it's not finished until the meridians are stimulated." Harry used this thing that was a little bit like a cattle prod, but it was a little spark generator, and it just provided energy to acupuncture meridians, and he would just run the meridians across the injured area. And for me, because I'm not an acupuncturist, I don't want to put needles in somebody.
right,
I'm lucky I have a copy of Felix Mann left that is, it's the easiest one to read. And the, what we found out last year, what I found out 23 years ago, was that you could change the pulses by running damp, so congested, in the spleen, in the kidney. And then that's when I learned the phrase, the lung is the mother of the kidney. Who in the world thinks like that besides these two acupuncturists that were teaching me about these three meridians? And so when last year, when we found out that the frequency to balance the meridians always works. You don't have to decide by pulse diagnosis if they're damp or tinny or, and what we did find out last year is that sometimes the meridian actually gets worse when you run vitality. It
right,
always gets better when you run balance.
right,
Note to self. So that's to have that as an adjunct. And then, like, literally the next week after that core where that acupuncturist was there, and we used the frequency to balance the meridians he was asking about,
right,
the next week, the girl was there with the hip replacement that just left all the muscles tight. And I did the nerves, and I did the scar tissue, and I did the torn or broken, and I did the joint capsule and the bursa and the brain, and it still wasn't right. And then I did balance the meridians, the 4 meridians that cross the hip. And her whole body just, you could see it. It was like watching a fish get filleted. She just went, meow, just smush.
Oh,
And she said, oh, that feels so good.
Leaf is talking about, he just said there's an electroacupuncture device on eBay that he found, and he
Felix
also picked up a
Mann's
copy of
book.
Felix Mann's charts or book. Nice.
Yeah. Electroacupuncture is acupuncture, and it's not for, what's the word? It's not for amateurs. Kids don't do this without supervision. So, yeah, I wouldn't. But if you have contacts in the area and you run balance the kidney and the whatever meridians cross the hip, it works. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's just another way of looking at biomechanics. And I think, again, a lot of us get caught up on biomechanics and kinesiology and levers and fulcrums and tendons and yes, that's great and it's there. However, there's another way of looking and
Oh,
treating.
John Sharkey's lecture. This is not
Speaking of John
blubber.
Sharkey, he gave me this mug, Memories from Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
So he knows how much I love coffee, and this mug is big. So thank you,
Yeah.
John.
And then what he brought me, I think of John Sharkey as the science and anatomy guy. And he brought me a box with soy candles, each one of which had a different fragrance.
Crystal. Yes.
Crystal, a
I
stone
yes.
associated with the 7 chakras. And it's, who are you and what did you do with John Sharkey? It's this, wow.
Again, the generosity with his way of thinking and his time and his brain, just a star-studded cast, and very grateful that I can watch and rewatch all the talks all over again because there's a
Yeah.
lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unpack's a good word. I will be unpacking it for a year. I've already used what Eduardo taught and just and I know I'm leaving a whole bunch of people out. David Murphy. We actually got David Murphy to slow down. That's not even possible. And then Jen Sosnowski's talk at the end on sleep apnea was outstanding.
Yeah.
And then I, I don't even remember the first day. It was just,
No, I know.
my
So
brain
much.
got full.
Juliana Mortensen again has such a gift of, and
Oh
I know
my
it's 4
gosh.
o'clock, but just her gift of explaining very complex material in a
Mhm.
way that you can understand. And I grabbed her at the end of her talk. We were in line to get coffee or tea. And I said, I love hearing you talk. I love being able to explain these concepts to patients. And without your translation, I wouldn't be able to. And she said, I just hate when smart people make for unsmart conversations about things. And she was right. She has a gift, though, of breaking it down. So I love hearing her speak.
Well, and just quotes from that let us know that this is material that goes back and knowledge that goes back with quotes and research and
Right. Yeah.
data
Yeah.
that goes back 100 years.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Denise asked, what is the balance the meridian frequency?
it's like 35 and 102 is what we use to balance the crown.
Yeah.
So you can balance the other meridians, that's in the advanced.
Yeah.
And then you use 35 on A and the frequency for the organ associated with that meridian on channel B. So this kidney, spleen, liver,
Yeah.
the gallbladder, bladder meridian goes 1, 2, 3, 4 places. up the spine and down the back of the legs. And it's just yikes. And then there are I think four meridians across the hip. And then I had another slide on the meridians across the shoulder.
Yeah, you did a
And
great job. It's in the advanced stuff. So,
yeah.
and
Oh,
then,
bite the bullet
yep,
and buy the advanced on video. It's worth it.
yep. And
This,
then Linda asked if John's slides are available now. I'm not sure. That would be a Kevin question. And
what was
Kevin,
it? Linda wanted to know
John
our
Sharkey
Sharky's
slides.
We never got
The
John's.
slides? Oh, for John Sharkey, yeah, I don't think he ever has sent me anything. I did ask him. I did talk to him about it, and he said he was going to try and send me something, but he said since the cadavers were in the presentation, he can't send it out.
Yeah, that's the challenge with John because there's actually a law, at least in Ireland, that you can't show cadavers
Right,
on video.
right.
And I could ask Fidelma if she could delete those slides and send the
That's what he
rest.
said he was going to do, and then send it to
He'll
the
never
team.
get it
He's
done, but
busy.
Fidelma might be able to. So we'll see if we can get his slides. And then, yeah, so it
That
is.
was after 4, and we'll get to more of the Q&A our next time, but we needed this to debrief and unpack the amazing advance that we did. So thank you to everybody who came and watched and participated and all the things. We had fun.
Yeah, we did. And we'll see you next year for
Yeah,
another.
another great advanced and a birthday party. Hello.
What's not to like? It'll be fun.
As long as there's short ribs, I'll be there.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you guys next.
Wait,
Just
no,
kidding.
we won't. We might. I'm going to be in
We'll get back to you.
Wait, I'm going to be in Florida next week and in Washington, D.C. the week after that.
We'll see what we can wrangle up. TBD. Stay tuned, everybody.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye.
The Frequency Specific Microcurrent podcast has been produced by Frequency Specific Seminars for entertainment, educational, and information purposes only. The information and opinion provided in the podcast are not medical advice, do not create any type of doctor-patient relationship, and unless expressly stated, do not reflect the opinions of its affiliates, subsidiaries, or sponsors, or the hosts or any of the podcast guests or affiliated professional organizations. No person should act or refrain from acting on the basis of the content provided in any podcast without first seeking appropriate medical advice and counseling. No information provided in any podcast should be used as a substitute for personalized medical advice and counseling. FSS expressly disclaims any and all liability relating to any actions taken or not taken based on or any contents of this podcast.